BGS 9.9 has entered the chat. All One Piece. There was 4 9.9 One Piece sales. Let's start with the first one. From Supreme Comics, One Piece 100 and a 9.9 was asking $15,000 and they accepted $10,000. Next up, we have our first of One Piece 104, BGS 9.9 with the 9.8 dust jacket. This was from Collectibles. They were asking $23,000. They actually took $12,000. Another 104 and a 9.9. This time the seller was fairly new. Tokyo Gentleman's Vault was asking $11,000 and they actually took $11,000 for it. Finally, our last One Piece of the week in a BGS 9.9 is a later volume. This is One Piece 114 BGS 9.9 with Yobi. Because it's a fairly newer volume, they're only asking $990, and that's what they got it for. They got it for $990. So this just goes to show you like how important grade is for the One Piece, any manga really, but especially One Piece, because I'm going to show you, for example, like this was an auction for One Piece Volume 1, first printing, BGS 7.0 from our old friend, the Rainier Consignment Shop. So this was auction. It ended with 43 bids, $2,402. And this, remember, BGS 7. We had a completely separate auction from Game JPN. This is a BGS 8.5 One Piece Volume 1, first printing. Again, 8.5 auction. This time it went for $7,100. It was funny too, I was going to bring up, like, I really don't think there was that many Volume 1 One Piece first printings out there. Like, it's probably less than 300,000. The reason I say that, because Weekly Shonen Jump initially rejected One Piece. So I'll put up the report here. So senior editors believed that a pirate story would never become a mainstream hit. And it's a very famous editor that actually declined it and then was convinced in a massive appeal by junior editors that, yeah, it's a good story. Yeah, they should run with it. So believe it or not, there wasn't a lot of faith in One Piece from the senior editorship. So I can see where they really didn't print a ton of the first edition Volume 1 mangas. Again, it's hard to get a number out of, like, an official number, how many were printed, but like I said, I've heard 300,000, which to me sounds, it's low for a Shonen Jump flagship title. But again, there didn't seem to be that huge faith in One Piece right out of the bat until, of course, it took off. But anyway, so in other big news, besides BGS 9.9s now exists for manga, I found a new site that lists, it's a manga tracker, but this one's actually free. This is West Blue Collectibles. So it doesn't quite have the customization of firstprint.net, but it's free and it's pretty cool, and it just lists everything. So I'll put the link below for that. But since we're looking at lists, let's look at the top 10 from firstprint.net, and no surprise, those 3 big One Piece 9.9s are up there. On May 17th, One Piece 104. 9.9 with Obi went for $12,000. May 21st, One Piece 104, again with Obi, 9.9 went for $11,000. May 17th, One Piece 100, 9.9 with Obi went for $10,000. May 17th, One Piece number 1 in an 8.5, which I just showed you, is $7,100. Then we dropped significantly, so May 17th, One Piece 7.0 Volume 1 first print, $2,400. On the 17th, another Volume 1 went for $2,100, this time in a 7.5. Next up, Naruto Volume 1, 8.0, $2,000. On May 21st, a One Piece 105 and a 9.8 with the Obi, $1,900. May 19th, Attack on Titan Volume 1 with the Obi, $1,900. And finally, May 19th, Soul Leveling 9.6 with Obi, 1850. It's kind of funny because I remember like when Beckett came out and I was analyzing that and I said like, why don't they, these new titles, like do what comics do, right? So grab a bunch of copies, pristine off the printers, make sure they're 9/8, and then have it as like a special sale, like when you buy the DVDs or whatever, right? Like it's, you can also get the 9.8 because a lot of times you do get those exclusives. Like, how much would a freaking 9.8 with the Obi be worth now? It's like, although there would be more of them, to be fair. On the English side of manga, I have been looking, especially like first prints, to see if BGS, there's a market for the English first printing a little bit, but I didn't, not like last week, but I remember like these One Piece gold foil ones. They would go for like $200 every day. Now we had one listed for $750 as a first print, and they actually got $550 for that. That's like the One Piece effect, I guess. So a significant jump. Another one is, keep your eye out if you're ever around like bookstores or secondhand, is this Magical Pokemon Journey. Any of them are worth money. It kind of shocked me. There's one that says sold for $599.99, volume 1, but it didn't actually sell for $600. What it sold for is $167, which is still darn impressive for a basically like a children's book, right? So if you ever see any of these magical Pokemon journeys out in the wild, they are worth money. I'll just put up some old listing prices there. Like you can see like a volume 5 went in December for basically $180. You had a 7 go for like 60. So I'm not saying it, it's not retirement money, but still, if you can get one for $5 or $10, there's a pretty good chance you'll be able to sell it online. Crazy. Another one that just, it warmed my heart to see this sale is a BGS 8.5 Fist of the North Star, or Hokuto no Ken #1 from 1984. So in a BGS 8.5 from 84, that's pretty cool. This one sold for $1,100, which is really nice to see. Finally, I was going to do a video about Obi, like the little strip along the bottom of the manga, and I was waiting for my next shipment of my own Japanese manga to arrive so I could show it off, but unfortunately hasn't gotten here yet. Probably would be this week, I think, but let me give you the very short and direct story here. Like, if you have to pay a little extra for the Obi, like if you're looking at a first print, volume 1 or whatever volume, with or without the Obi, get the Obi. It's a huge factor in determining the value. Like if you have to pay $20 extra, it's definitely going to be worthwhile. What's interesting though is like not all manga have Obi. For example, like One Piece volume 1 first print did not have an Obi. So if you ever see one with an Obi, it's fake. But so there's no definitive site either about like what has Obi, what doesn't have Obi. So I find the best way is just go onto eBay, do a search with, title Obi, see if you can find any. You got to be careful too, because some people are asking a fortune, and I don't know how rare it is to have the Obi. So this Claymore first print edition with the Obi from 2002, they're asking $2,200. Let me contrast that to an entire run of Claymore, all first print, but not all of them have the Obi. About half, the later half of the collection have Obi. The first one does not, and yet it's at $950. So it's less than half of what the seller of that volume 1 with Obi wants. Now, are they going to get $2,200 for it? I kind of doubt it, but you're starting to see where, especially like these older ones, first print with Obi, like, yeah, I can see where they're going to be like the ones the big money goes after. So anyway, so that's my thoughts. Only time and data will tell, right? So thanks again for watching. Like I said, short one, lots to do, and see y'all maybe even before next week. We'll see when my freaking manga comes in, and yeah, we'll go from there. And thanks again for watching. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.